With it, I saw people getting promotions and new jobs, and my internal thing was, oh, I want that too. Like, I want that title. And then I have to remind myself, okay, is that what I want? Or do I want the allure that comes with that?
Welcome, everybody. It is another episode of Market to Me. And today I got the wonderful, hailing from Philly, it's Michael Smith, who is a designer, design leader, a dad, which happens to be the owner and founder of Dadsigner and the host of the Dadsigner Podcast, also co-owner of the co-working space R5 CoLab, and a creator of a successfully crowdfunded children's book. He's someone who's actively building community while navigating creativity, family, and business, which is why I wanted him on the show. Mike, how are you doing today?
Well, how are you?
I'm all right. First things first, with this question, it kind of lets me know and lets the people know what kind of person, what your personality is. And this is, what's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
Michelangelo.
Nice.
Partly for the namesake, partly for the color.
Doesn't hurt. He's a fun character. You are, I would say, kind of a serial entrepreneur. Do you feel that your dad being a businessman kind of like showed you an example of what could be possible for you?
Yeah, I do think that has a big part of it. My dad has owned his own company now for over 30 years, actually just retired in December. I think it gave me a good look at what it means and looks like to own your own company, the flexibility, as well as like the requirements that are there. And my dad isn't like the most businessy type of person. And so even knowing that, and he was able to be successful for as long as he was, I think that was like the spark that kind of got me started.
Was there an example, a lesson that he taught you that you applied to your businesses?
Yeah, he always had an accountant. He always talked about an accountant. The accountant was like the main service professional that he employed. And I put it off for a while, and then I got one, and man, what a difference.
Yeah, I find that to be so crucial. I agree. My dad said the same thing. I find that it's good to have a good accountant that knows the ins and outs of the business. So they could play with the numbers however they want, but like a good accountant really saves your ass.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not great at it. I don't want to think about it, and it's been worth every penny.
Why focus on TurboTax when you could just handle being with your kids and doing all the fun stuff?
Yeah. Tax season last year was like the least stressful ever because someone else was taking care of it all. Up to that point, I did TurboTax for 10, 12 years, and it's a mess for me.
My goodness. You are a part owner of the R5 CoLab, am I right? You're part owner, you're one of the founders, correct?
One of the founders, and as of, I had bought my business partner out. So it's now me, just me.
Wow, that's congrats. You got to give yourself a pat on the back to be able to do that. Not everybody could buy their own partners out. Some people get pushed out, which is, the pain. So it's a community space. It's a space that people really need. People, people want to be together and get away from the distractions of the coffee shops. I mean, I love the coffee shops around here, but sometimes it's just hard to just sit down and focus when someone's eating or drinking or chatting about, what have you. But what was it like? What was the gap that you were really trying to solve when you decided to create this co-working space?
Yeah, the town that we're in doesn't have one. We're far enough away from Philadelphia that a lot of the major co-working spaces like WeWork or Industrious or things like that, there just wasn't enough population density out here to call for one of those. But I was at the coffee shop because I was working remotely, and it started getting lonely every day working from home. And so I would go to the coffee shop and I would sit there and, you get to know the baristas, you get to know the other regulars, and it kind of started to form its own community. But like you said, it's very distracting, very difficult to take calls from the coffee shop. People do it, don't recommend it. But when the coffee grinder starts grinding, that's a huge noise. And then, once you do get to know a lot of people, it was a positive community buzz, and then it's like, I can't get anything done when I go. So my former business partner and I were both kind of there at the coffee shop and met through that and some mutual friends, and both had this idea in mind. And
Did you both have a business call together at the coffee shop from the other end?
No, we didn't. We had a couple dinners, but when we decided to go out and find a space, it took us a full year to find a location in the town that we liked, and the landlord was willing to work with us to start it. So even in launching out, it took us a full year to do the whole thing.
That's key that you guys were still able to figure it out and find the proper location, because location's important for that kind of, for a co-working space. I know that there's a WeWork by me, which is not that far. It's fantastic because it's close if I really want to go there or be remote. I think that's an important part, that you were able to find a space and get it through. I mean, I'm sure the build out was a pain.
Yeah, the build out, we were fortunate in that, and it was part of the reason it took us so long. We came back to this landlord several times and finally
He must have loved you.
We finally came to an agreement what we wanted, what we were requesting the space to do, and they said that they would do the work. We just had to pay, more on our, and they would do the build out. So waiting for them to finish the build out was always kind of like, unsure, just because all projects take longer than you expect. And when you're the client and you want it done yesterday, it's never fast enough. So, but they were great. They built out exactly how we asked. I did a really nice job. And then we had to furnish it, and,
Thrift stores are us. Is that what?
we have an IKEA not too far from us. And
That's good.
The commercial IKEA stuff is pretty good. We've been in here now coming up on 6 years, and that stuff lasted us. We're still using a bunch of the stuff that we bought on day one. So 6 years later, it's still working.
So for everyone out there, make sure you get the IKEA commercial.
Yeah, they don't market as such, but just look for their office, like their non-home office stuff, and it's actually really nice. Here's the flip side of that. If you go to like a commercial office furniture company, they're going to charge you at least 10 times more than anything residential. And it doesn't mean it's 10 times as durable. It just means the way that the commercial furniture market works, it's insane.
It's like anything else. It's perception. It's how you perceive yourself. Are you perceiving yourself as a high ticket value kind of a customer, or, are you a low end, let's make as much money for as little as possible kind of deals? Yeah, that makes sense. You've mentioned that there's a lot of co-working spaces look fancy and look great, but they lack real interaction. So is that part of it? Like what actually creates a genuine community inside like a shared space like this? Because I know that's a big thing with this spot.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because every time I give a tour, especially for people that are like, I'm just looking for an office, I'm like, that's great, but just so you know, when you come here, you're going to become known, because the other members are going to go out of their way to introduce themselves. We have a happy hour every month. We have planned lunches that everyone's invited to come out to every month. We have other events that we do. The Philadelphia Phillies are a big team. I'm not a supporter of them, but they are a big team in my area. And so Phillies opening day, we always host a party down in our lounge conference room area and invite everyone to hang out. And so I think what creates that is, I thought at the beginning that I wanted to be intentional about it, but I thought at the beginning that it's like, I'm going to make this space, and then people are going to be like, hey, does anyone want to do lunch? Anyone want to grab lunch? And it wasn't happening. And so as soon as we started instituting these pre-scheduled lunches where people could start to go out and stuff, and the pre-scheduled happy hours, and the actual R5 generated events, then people started coming out to those things, and then now more and more people are being like, oh, hey, I'm running to lunch, does anyone want to go, and stuff like that. So there's a seeding that had to happen, and then you have to hit the critical mass of people that are interested in the community. So we have had a bunch of members who were purely just here to work, which is fine. But if that is your majority, then the community doesn't grow. So we've passed that tipping point now, where the majority of folks that are here, yes, for a place to work, but they're also very invested in the community, and that just fosters more.
Since you were able to shift that balance, did you turn away people so you could be like, hey, we're more community based, or it was just naturally the people who are part of the community, like my friend, I know somebody who wants to be part, there's a good idea. It just feels like it's kind of hard to make that shift.
Yeah, we haven't ever explicitly turned anyone away. Every single person that wants to rent a space has to come on a tour. And on that tour, there are ways to answer questions to either make it an easier decision for someone to join or a harder decision for someone to join. For instance, there was someone that came for a tour and really wanted to bring their dog with them. And we hadn't really encountered this before. And I said, come for the tour, bring the dog, we'll see what happens. Well, over the course of the tour, when this individual left, I had to give him an answer whether or not we would be fine with his dog being here. I kid you not, 5, 6, 7 members said, oh, we're letting dogs in now? Can my dog come? And it was, can I dog? And then it was like, okay, your dog is great, but your dog and this dog together, we can't predict that.
Yeah.
And so we just put the kibosh. So like we never really turn people away, but we kind of...
You have to set your rules.
Yeah, we figure it out and they kind of self-opt out.
Got it.
And I'll say on the flip side, the last couple tours I've given, and then people have signed up, those folks have like looked at other co-working spaces in the greater area. Mm-hmm. And they've said to me, there was something different here. Like you could just feel it with the space, the people, that there truly was community. It wasn't just like a sign on the wall. And so I don't know exactly how that's been fostered or how you can sense something when you walk into a space, but people can.
You really can. I mean, again, we're both dads, and you could tell which like schools are more involved and which are, that's just the easiest example for me, but like you could definitely tell when who wants to be there and hang out and be chummy, and people who just like, hey, I'm here, drop off, let me pick up the kid, and I'll see you at the park maybe, or whatever. Like, there's a lot of communities and clubs and events where are you a social club or you just want to be there to be seen? You really have to kind of find a way to foster it, and it seems like you're doing a great job that it's something different, because if you could step into a place and feel that vibe, everyone knows that. Like it doesn't matter. You could be a lounge, club, sports event, like you could tell that it's a positive experience. It sounds like to go, hey, I'm gonna check out I'm gonna work here for today. I'm sure that people rented your space and then were like, hey, sign me up. Or is it a day by, well then maybe back up, is it a pay by day or is it just a membership?
We are a month to month, so pay for the full month. We do, however, to the point you were trying to make there, we do offer a 1-week free trial. We used to offer a free day. And what we found was that when someone had their free day, they would be like, all right, I'm coming next Tuesday. So they would plan their entire day around being here, which wasn't real life, right? And so when we give away the free week, then it's like, okay, I'm going to do it this week and I have all week. I can feel the natural flow of my week. And maybe I'm going to come Tuesday morning and Thursday afternoon. Or, hey, I'm out at the store on Wednesday and I need to pop in and knock out some emails. I'm going to pop in and knock some emails out for an hour or two. And so, yeah, during that week, the goal is that they're here just enough to get the sense of the number of people here throughout the day and throughout the week fluctuates. And so they get a sense for like who's here, what's going on, the feeling and vibe of the space. That's good.
And I'm sure from there people are able to connect and build some connection projects, and you probably did the same back and forth. It ends up the whole community vibe where it's important. I think that in general, I think we're, as people like to say, that everyone's tribal or whatever. It's kind of that the community, that's part of it. It's part of the positive aspect of it. It feels like you're adding a positive work environment for people who are freelancers or work remote or whatever. Now, that's the only thing you can do, right? In life, you could try. Now, let's talk a little bit about your leadership and communication and a little bit of your writing. You've written articles about the idea of a design team charter, setting expectations and values early. Now, how do you think that translates in how you run a space like R5 CoLab or any of your other partnerships or businesses that you operate?
Yeah, I think the core principle behind that design team charter that applies here and elsewhere, and I'll give a couple examples, is just that expectation setting. So when I've led a couple different design teams, when I've either come in new or taking it over from within, I want to make sure everyone knows what the expectations are. And the reason for that is down the road, if there's an issue, I'm not having a net new conversation with them. We're having a reminder. Hey, remember how these are the set of expectations and you're either falling short of them or you're exceeding them. So like you can use them both for positive intents as well as to get someone back into alignment with the expectations. So I just feel like in with the team dynamic, it's very clear, and it's the same across the board. Here are our team expectations. And then in like a space like this, what's funny is as humans, we have this tendency to think that the information in our head is known by everyone. And so then we get really frustrated when we're like, why didn't they do this thing that obviously is the right thing to do? And they're like, oh, right, because that was in my head, but I never communicated that. So a perfect example here at the co-working space, we have an auxiliary area, we call it our annex, which has a heater, air conditioner. And we don't leave it on all the time. We turn it off. Preserve electricity, but since the space isn't always used, we really only need to condition it when people are in there. In my head, when you leave, you turn off the lights, you lock the door, you turn off the AC, right? Well, not everyone thinks that way because they're not an owner. And so I started putting out messages and emails like, hey, remember when you leave the room, do this, do this, do this. And it's all well and good, but like, that's a one-off message. Not everyone reads their texts or emails, and is what it is. So it was on my list of things to do for, I would say, 75% of 2025, and I finally finished it right before the end of the year, which was to create a handbook, a community handbook that people could download that would live on like the common space area, like an Airbnb guide. Yeah. You know how those things are. Mm-hmm. And so I finally did that. It's like, okay, this is the design charter version of the co-working space. Is here's the list of expectations. If you ever have a question, where's the extra toilet paper? Who do I call? What's the emergency number? Where's the first aid kit? I don't always have to be the one to answer the question. It's all in that book. Now, I'm always happy to, but as well as these other expectations of like, hey, when you're done with your plates and bowls, you don't leave them in the sink, wash them and put them away, and like all that kind of stuff. And so again, the expectation setting. But it leads back to, why does it feel like a community? Why do you feel that vibe? Because There isn't crap everywhere. The sink isn't overflowing with dishes. People are invested, and you can tell they're invested because no one ever leaves a dirty dish in the sink.
Yeah. No, and I think that also separates you from like WeWork, where they hire people to clean up and run the dishwasher or like everything. I mean, there's people who definitely wash their own stuff, but it just feels like when you're invested in it, you're paying for it, you might as well. There's two mentalities. Like, hey, I'm paying for it, they got to do it for me, or hey, I'm paying for it, let me take care of it because I enjoy this place and I want to be able to make sure it continues to operate. So
yeah. And either one is actually fine, right? Like, yeah. I'm paying for, you're either, so you can have a mentality, or you can structure your co-working space one of two ways. Hey, I'm paying for it and I'm paying a premium price. So when I come here, I do my work and I leave, and that's my deal. Yeah, or it's, hey, we're a community. You're going to pay a little bit less and everyone's going to chip in because I want you to feel invested in what's going on here. And I believe that when you feel invested, that community deepens and everyone's willing to chip in as long as they know, like, that's part of the deal. And on the tour, we tell them that's part of the deal. Like, if you see a mess, you're going to wipe it up. Like,
absolutely. I mean, it's the whole community part. It's a place you want to be at. If you're paying premium and you just want to go in and work, it's fine. But if you want to be part of a community also paying premium, you want to be invested as well. And I think there's not that many places.
And can you imagine, like, not to get super deep into local towns, cities, politics, all that kind of stuff, but can you imagine if humans, the average population, acted in such a way where they cared about their block, their neighborhood, their town, their city, in that level, right? Rather than saying like, well, why is there so many problems? It's like, well, what are you doing to help fix them? And so It's like similar here is like, okay, we could all point our fingers at what the problems are, or we could say, I have a solution and I'm going to go try to fix it.
This mindset is of an owner, an entrepreneur, and most people are employees, or some sort of level of that where you're maybe middle management or whatever, but they're not thinking of all the details. Like, I do remember my father, when he was looking out to go on his own, he spoke to a mentor of his, and he was like, if you're going to have an office, remember, you're in charge of everything for the bathroom. If the bathroom clogs up and everything, you got to take care of it. You got to call the plumber. You got to unclog it, whatever. And so my dad looked for an office that had the bathroom outside so he didn't have to deal with that. He's like, I just want to work, hire people and get the clients. But again, nobody's really thinking about that. You're not thinking of it as an owner. You're thinking as an entrepreneur. But this kind of, it separates you a little bit because you have to open other people's eyes. And that way kind of makes you a good leader too, because you're kind of showing them the way. You can lead the horse to water, right?
Yeah. And it's not always, I don't always want to do it either. You know?
I mean, yeah. I think a lot of people don't want to do stuff. It's one of those things where you have to do it.
Right. And
Right.
but when you think about it with your kids too, like when you start exhibiting that behavior, you're showing them, look, this is not my mess. And yet because I want our house to be clean, or because I want our block to not have poop bags on it, I'm going to pick them up and throw them out because it takes me an extra 15 seconds. And it's not like I did a good deed for the day. It's like, I want to live in a place that's clean. I want to live in a place that is better off. And if everyone took a little bit of more ownership, not entitlement, it took a little bit more ownership over their areas and the spaces and the places they are, be a much better place.
Yeah, it is, and it's also the balance of finding those people and those people who are willing to help out, but also don't abuse their power, because people are willing to help out, no problem, but like they have their lives to live too. It's a community, like that's the whole. Everybody has to do their part, more or less, right? Since we're still talking about the whole design mindset, and so you've also written an article about professional growth and how it isn't just about promotions or raises. How do you personally define growth now, especially as a creative and a dad and a co-working space owner?
Yeah, it's hard because I think it is a mindset shift, right? The society at large celebrates success based on titles, numbers, position, power, all that kind of stuff. But it's not the only way that you can be successful. And I still struggle with this, now with the businesses. Is like part of the reason I left the corporate world was to be able to set my own schedule so that I could also have more freedom to spend time with my kids and my family and things like that. So professional growth there looks like reminding myself that I'm making enough and I can clock out at 3:30 on a Thursday and go spend the afternoon sledding with my kids, right? And so on the surface, and I still struggle with it. I saw several things this past week of people getting promotions and new jobs at prestigious companies, and my internal thing was, oh, I want that too. I want that title. I want that, whatever it is. Yeah. And then I have to remind myself, okay, is that what I want? Or do I want the allure that comes with that? Because I don't necessarily want all the work that comes with it or the endless days of meetings that come with it. And so I think in the article you're referencing too, like I was leading the team and everyone wanted to be the senior level, right? And it's like, well, not everyone can be the senior level because the business doesn't have a need for everyone to be the senior level. But there are lots of other things that we can do to help make your work more fulfilling. And also, if you're driving value for the business, we can increase the monetary compensation as well. And so it's kind of taking, again, that owner's mindset of like taking a couple steps back and like, okay, how do I make more money? Well, if the business makes more money, then I probably can make more money. And so how do I help the business make more money? And how am I making my manager's life easier? And like it all kind of ladders up to this bigger thing. Very convoluted way to answer that question.
It still got it done. But yeah, no, that makes total sense. The allure, that is so true. People just want it but don't want to do the work. But then it leads me to think of something else I remember that you mentioned. I find this personally too, where obviously we want to do a personal growth, but when we work on something creatively, there's always the mindset of like, okay, how am I going to make money off this? How do you separate yourself from like, because I feel like everything I make, all right, if it's not going to go here, maybe I'll sell it on a print on demand, or maybe I'll sell it as a stock asset, or maybe I'll find a brand that might want to buy this, or some sort of like, I'm just like thinking, like, I just want to create for myself and just enjoy. Like, so I've started the year strong by, I'm reading a book in the morning after I drop my son off. I still have enough time before I actually do work, whether it's admin stuff or design stuff or sales calls, whatever. And then like I could sketch. That's how it brought me into the creative world and design world. Like I was always drawing. I was that kid. But so like, how do you separate yourself from like just like everything needs to make money?
Yeah, I mean, as a serial entrepreneur, and if you were to talk to my wife, she'd be like, Michael, it doesn't have to. Like, it doesn't have to turn into a business. It doesn't have to be a side project. It could just be, like, you can just actually paint for fun. And I'm like, ugh, how do you do that? But what's interesting, and this is incredibly timely, earlier this week, I was in my Dropbox just looking for something, and I had forgotten, everyone's doing that, like, 2016, I did
The
it.
10-year picture, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was like top of mind too. But I noticed that in 2017, I remembered that I had done a 100-day project, and for 100 days straight, I illustrated
That was the jars, right?
a jar of something: pickles, a ball jar, Abby Normal's brain, all sorts of things. And I did it for 100 days straight. And at that time, I was like, oh, of course, we got to make prints. We got to try to sell them. It has to be something. And, I sold a couple to friends, and they still have them hanging in their kitchen, and they told me, like, we love this, and blah, 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 stuff. Which is funny, but, I sold less than 20 prints. And I designed 100 of these, or I illustrated 100 of these.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, while that exercise didn't equate to a business or a book or a, what thing, I brought it back up and I posted it on Threads last night. And today, someone who I've been trying to engage with, or I've tried to engage with in the past.
Okay.
I followed them, tried to put my name out there for different stuff. Nothing. Today, they saw that because of the Threads algorithm and they followed me. And so here I am 9 years later, this project still has legs. It's still, it's paying off. And who knows what that follow even means, right? But it doesn't always have to be directly correlated to a monetary business. Yeah. But I just thought value. That was there's still value to doing the thing, to doing the exercise. And now I'm thinking through, okay, I really enjoyed that illustration style. I haven't leaned into it too hard since. How can I apply what I learned then to things that I'm doing now?
When you look at stuff like that, it kind of brings you back, there's more value with connecting with other people. Again, connection. You're like the little conduit over here, finding ways to do.
Think back to in 2017, I did not know the same people I know today, and so it's also new to them. While it's old to me, oh yeah, I did that, in my 20s. Yeah, in my 20s. Now it's a whole new set of people. I think about the owl character you drew for your son and created stuff out of, right? That was probably a couple years ago, but yet there's always new audiences, that you're coming in contact with that have never heard that story before. And so I actually learned that from some big name designers, where I'm like, oh, I've seen this reel before, but they post it probably every 3 weeks on their stories, and they probably get hundreds of thousands of views every couple weeks on the story, and it's like, oh, you have a whole bunch of new followers, or you have a new audience and things like that. And so I think it is important to kind of reach back into the portfolios and be like, that was good, it's still good, gonna keep sharing that.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know you 10 years ago, and I saw that earlier, and I was like, oh, this is cool. The whole I remember even doing a similar project like that, and now it's like, well, maybe we could do that again, do something different. It just kind of stir up some interest in that way. So that's exciting. That's fun. But that's still thinking value. But let's just take it back one step. What do you do to relax and calm down and turn off the switch of the business owner, designer, the creative? Just relax.
Yeah. I read.
Wait! Stop! Because it's gonna be about business books.
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
I am an avid fiction guy. I start my day reading and I end my day reading almost every single day. So it's how I recharge. It's how I get creative ideas. And yeah, there are some business books, but
of course, you gotta sprinkle them in.
Last year, I think it was 2/3, 1/3, 2/3 fiction.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Maybe even 3/4. But it was a lot of fiction. I love fiction books.
Can you name three books that you read recently that you like, that you would recommend to people to read if they're an avid fiction reader?
Absolutely. The Fellowship of the Puzzle Makers.
Ooh.
Really fun book, just about a fellowship of puzzle makers, and not just jigsaw puzzles like New York Times word puzzles and all that kind of stuff. So that's a great one. My all-time favorite book, The History of Love. Fantastic book that I've recommended to many people. And see the third one. I'm trying to think of ones that aren't always on the top of people's lists too.
I mean, if you think of one that you like Go ahead, throw it out
Yeah,
there. I mean, maybe it's some people always rereading books.
a classic, and it's worth the length. Count of Monte Cristo.
That's not quite the deep cut, but that's a heavy book. Yeah, okay. It's worth the read. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what 1,200, 1,500 pages, and just absolutely savage.
This helps me out reading the book because you being such an avid reader, you actually have had a successful Kickstarter campaign, right? With creating your own children's board book, right?
Yeah, actually two, but yeah.
Well, yes, you had two, but I wasn't sure about the second one, if the second one was also crowdfunded.
Both were crowdfunded, yeah.
Let's talk about crowdfunding because, some people out there maybe want to do it. Like, what was it? First, let's start. Why you chose Kickstarter? Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, Kickstarter.
Why that over like Indiegogo or any other platform?
It felt to me like the most legitimate with, I felt like there's just nuance there. I think at the time Indiegogo was whatever you raised, you got to keep, regardless of whether or not you fully funded what you're asking for.
Okay.
And that wasn't going to be helpful. Like, to get partway there wasn't going to be helpful for me. Also, like, Kickstarters at the time, and I don't know if I can say, I haven't been on Indiegogo in a while, but just their design and their user interface and all of the tools that they have
It was more friendly.
were really good. Yeah, so I like them.
I know it's a grind to just be able. I know people who've had successful campaigns, and it's tough. It's a grind. But like, what was it about these crowdfunding campaigns that you found to be most surprising once it went live?
Yeah, one is like your friends and family my friends and family were very generous. And I had a friend that just recently did one too, and I told him the same thing before he started. I said, you're going to be really surprised that there's going to be people that are like, here's $1,000 and I don't want anything back, because you're doing this creative project and they want to invest in you.
Yeah.
They don't actually care that whether or not they get a book. They see you putting yourself out there and they want to invest in you, and they have the means to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so I was really surprised by that.
Oh wow! And that just like random people too, or just like friends and family? I'm just curious.
Mainly friends and family.
Okay, still that's a big deal.
Or coworkers. Like this guy, I had an aunt that was super generous. This guy he sells insurance, and another insurance guy was like, how far away are you from funding? And he told him, and then he's like, all right, you're good.
That's quite the hookup.
Yeah. So it's like those people, but there are those people in your life that don't always know that you're doing these cool projects. And Kickstarter, like, I also saw Kickstarter as a means for marketing, right? It's not all about when you're forced to market yourself hard for 30 days or 45 days, whatever campaign you set. You're doing way more than you've probably ever done in your life, and it feels bad, but like you see the results of constant reminders. You see the results of like, I'm putting this thing out here. Now, could you do that for 365 days? Probably not. But in that concerted 30 to 45 days, like, you're top of mind, in front of mind for a lot of people on a cool project that like a lot of them wish they were doing it.
Yeah, no,
or had the ability to, or whatever it is.
And for those who don't know, it's eyes. It's all about eyes of characters from movies and children's book, or am I wrong?
Yeah, so there's two. The first book was for my first daughter, and it's animal eyes, close-ups of their faces and focused on the animal's eyes. The second book, my younger daughter's name is Story, and so the second book is called Storybook Eyes, and it's all characters from different storybooks. When they're my age now, they'll be more grateful for these things than they are today. They liked them when they were little, and they'll like them because when I die, they'll be like, oh, my dad made me this.
Yeah, no, way to create that tearjerker moment. Oh, but it's true. It is true. The mindset shift is like, oh, they did that for me. I really appreciate what they did for me all those times when I was younger. That's like awesome advice and good things for people to know. Now, that kind of leads you did that for your children in a way if you're honoring them. It's a cool tactic, and you're a dad and you designed it. That leads us into the designer portion of your career in your life. I mean, you had your separate site, your Michael E. Smith site with all of your writings and a little bit of portfolio. What was the shift that really said, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on Dadsigner. I'm like, this is who I am. I'm a dad. I'm a designer. I'm gonna go all in?
Yeah. So the Dadsigner name I started using in 2013. And at that time, it was right before my first daughter was born. At that time, I started a daddy blog, if you will. You know, there's mommy blogs. This was a daddy
I know.
blog.
Yes.
But not like a bad daddy blog, just a dad blog. Anyway, so I was writing on that very consistently, like once a week for a couple years. That was actually the thing where I built an audience to launch the first Kickstarter book. And part of the reason it was successfully funded was because I had built an audience outside of my friends and family on that platform.
Okay.
When we had our second daughter, time got even more sparse. And so the Dadsigner blog site kind of went by the wayside. I resurrected it in 2020, end of 2023, when I was leaving my full-time job, looking for new work. And the market at the time was, just garbage. I think I had applied to 80 different jobs. I had 2 interviews in all that time. And I finally said, look, I'm going to have a little bit of a runway here. I'm going to try to go out on my own and do the freelance thing. And I was like, what should I call it? And I was like, I still have Dadsigner. And if I lean into this idea that, like, I'm just a dad who's a designer, who's trying to provide for his family, maybe it will work. Yeah, so 2024 officially kind of launched out and did that, which was awesome. It's gone well. And then I had for a long time in my mind of doing this podcast where I talk to other dads who are designers. So there is a little bit of a confusion. Like, Dadsigner is my freelance design business, but it's also a podcast. They just happen to share a name.
I think it's more, it operates under one big umbrella.
Yeah. And they are now registered trademarks of the government, which is fun.
So, gotta delete my Dadsigner t-shirt. Don't need that cease and desist. Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, so it's registered, it's full in, you're full, like that's all you, that's operating.
Within 2 categories. Graphic design
yes, of course. Trademarks, you got to be
podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still works, still pretty cool. So you built that space. It's fantastic. You'd be able to create podcasts, interview other people, other dads, if you will. That's the name of the podcast. Do you find that it's a little bit difficult, like separating your personal work and like the designer stuff, or like your podcasting stuff, or just like, hey, it kind of all melts in together?
Yeah, it all melts together. I mean, part of the podcast is to help continue to connect with other creatives.
Yeah.
Obviously that are dads, but like, I've gotten to meet so many people that I wouldn't have otherwise known if I didn't do this thing. And so while the coworking space is awesome for a local community and for some creative ideation with others in the space, there's also this other level that, like, when I have these conversations with other designers, it's just nice to talk shop with people that are in a similar life circumstance as you. Yeah. And yeah, so like when the podcasts eventually launch, or when each episode airs, sure, I would love more numbers, but it's more of just like fulfilling a promise. Hey, we recorded this thing together for the intent that it goes live. Yeah. But the value for me and the fun for me is the conversation itself, and then the non-recorded before and after conversation as well. And yeah, I've met some incredible people because of it. And
look, and it goes back to the beginning of our chat, where it's community, building community. This guy's a conduit of community. I would have said national. You built your community nationally, but you've had some people from across the pond on the podcast, so it's global. It's a global community you're building.
Yeah, we've got Europe, we have North America, we have Central America. I feel like we have a Canadian on here, but yeah, it's global.
Still North America. You gotta get the Aussie.
True. Yeah, they're time zones.
Oh yeah, I know. I've chatted with somebody. It was like they just woke up, and I'm like, okay, I could do this. I could do this now. Let's figure it out. Let's wrap it up with a lot of rapid fire questions. Work style: solo, hybrid, or in person?
Hybrid.
There we go. Yep, because you're at your co-working space and not at home. Since you're a dad, we're going to keep it clean. What's your favorite dad-approved curse word?
Jiminy Cricket.
Interesting. Oh, I got a little Pinocchio at you. Mac or PC?
Oh, Mac.
Figma or Adobe?
Figma.
And now let's go. I was going to say Figma or Affinity, but I'm not. I feel like you still go Figma.
I will, because I have not bit the Affinity apple.
Coffee, tea, or energy drink?
Coffee.
Ooh, okay, coffee. How do you like it made? Nice. Hot or cold? Black, hot?
Always hot. In the summer, hot, always hot.
So what's your biggest creative pet peeve?
The first thing that popped into my head, and this is really stupid, is inconsistent line weights
Okay.
in a design. It's so minute, but that's the thing.
What's a client red flag that you've learned early on, that you spot early?
Lack of clarity.
Dad question right here. White Nike Monarchs or New Balance?
New Balance, all day. I got them on right now.
Oh!
Here we go, hold on. This is a special edition, by the way. This is not rapid fire, but this is a collaboration
Topo Design.
between Topo Designs and New Balance.
Now, why do you think that New Balance is like the official dad sneaker?
I mean, it depends on the style. This is a skateboard shoe. You can't call this like an official dad.
But I mean,
Like,
it just
The
feels
white
like
New Balance. It's probably. It's not wrong. Because dads they've got the green pair for mowing the lawn, and they've got the clean pair for going to Applebee's.
it's just funny that ends up being like, hey, this is part of your dad uniform.
I bet you in a few years it'll be the Nike.
Ooh, it's painful to hear that one. All right, let's wrap it up with, when you're working, what's your go-to music that you like to listen to?
It's like two ends of the spectrum. No words, lo-fi, jazzy music, or some sort of folky, beaty thing.
With words? Singing?
With words, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see
That's
what
cool.
Spotify tells me right now is like my afternoon. Funky soul groovy Thursday afternoon.
I find that the Spotify suggestions differ depending on the time of day. It's like, but
They do.
I'm still working in the morning and the afternoon. Why can't it be the same? Do you think that lunch is going to change it up? All right.
It might.
Yeah, you're right. It might. That might be like, hey, I have a great afternoon coming up, or it'd be like, man, I need some like angry music because I don't want to deal with this call. I gotta fire somebody. Is there anything else that you want to promote and share and let people know where they can find you?
Nothing to promote or share. Where to find me? Dadsigner on Instagram, Threads, dadsigner.com, YouTube, Dadsigner.
Gotta bump those numbers up, people. That's what we're
right.
here.
I'm sitting at 95 subscribers. So looking for that round 100.
Let's see what we could do. Bump those numbers up. Gotta,
Yeah.
What was it? Matthew McConaughey. Gotta pump those numbers up.
That's right. And then the co-working space, if folks want to find the co-working space, the letter R, the number 5, CoLab with 1L.com.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, Michael, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm sure there was a lot of good conversation we've had, and I hope everybody out there listening, you make sure you like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, do all the good things that you normally hear at the end of an episode. Bye, everybody.